Hi, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to Salve Salento. And today, before we begin, I wanted to give a big shout out to our new members. Your membership helps our channel grow, and we really appreciate you. So if you really like this content that we're providing, please join. The button's below. Click on the join button. And thank you again for your support. So today's video is on why you'll never be able to retire in the US ever. So if you're rich, you don't need to watch this video because you can retire anywhere you want, or it doesn't matter how much things cost. But if you, like the rest of the 80% of the world that can't afford to live anywhere that they want, you'll want to find some place that's economical that you can retire. um, it's very important to try to make your exit plan now before you actually are retiring, or in advance before costs of other things go up. For example, when we purchased our home in Italy a few years ago, the costs have gone up a little bit. I mean, it's not as much as it has in the United States to compare. Not at all a comparison. It's much, much less. But relatively speaking, in Italy, some of the costs have gone up a little bit, and in other places of the world. So the sooner you get in, or if that property needs some renovations, you can get it started earlier. You don't have to pay as much for those renovations. They'll cost a little bit less now than they will in a few years. And also, it's good to get your contractors lined up earlier, because it does take them a little bit longer to complete these renovations in Italy than in the US. In the US, you can get something done pretty quick if you need, a kitchen, or you need to hire somebody to do something. In Italy, it's not the same. They have people ahead of you, and they don't care if you have to wait. They just take everyone in turn. So it's good to get in early. The reality is now that if you're retiring, that retirement income that you have coming in, or that you will have coming in the future, is not going to increase as much as the cost of living is going to increase. So to live in the United States, you need to have more money coming in every year, as opposed to living somewhere else where those costs aren't that high to begin with. Because if you're still working right now, you're paying for a lot of those things that your day to day out of your salary. But once you retire, you'll be on a fixed income, and you need to know that your house insurance isn't going to go up $1,000 next year, or that your health insurance premiums aren't going to go up another $1,000 or $2,000 for the following year, because you're on a fixed income. You can't afford to have surprises like that. So when we were in Italy for quite a while, almost 2 years, and then we said, let's take a break. Let's go to the Virgin Islands, and we've been here since December, and it's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we made. Food prices here are insane compared to the U.S. They're not much different here. I think that your prices in the United States are going up regularly, where here they're high and they're kind of just staying high. They're not going to go down, right? Nobody's going to lower the price and say, oh, this costs me half now, but you're paying me, $10 for something that only cost me $2. Well, guess what? It only cost me $1 now. I'm still going to charge you $10. So no one's going to say, sorry, you're paying too much for this. Let's make this less expensive. That goes with everything, right? Your insurance, that goes with your property taxes, that goes with food, that goes with pretty much everything that you buy, right? It's all going to go up. So we we came here to see how it was, and there's a lot of people that come here to retire, but in my opinion, everybody's different. They have their own opinion, but in my opinion, I don't think that it's worth it to retire here, or to stay here for an extended amount of time, because of the hassle of how everything is here. Um, it's very difficult to get things. You could go to the store and not find certain food that you were looking to make, for dinner or whatever, groceries, things, commercial products to purchase, like sodas and things like that. They don't have everything. So it's kind of whatever they get is what you have to pick from. And, we're here in Italy, we drink no soda, but we were here, we're drinking soda. I know it's no good for you. If you can put that in the comments, but we want diet soda, which probably is even worse. But okay, sometimes I like to have diet soda. They don't have diet soda. It's so hard to find it here. And when you find it, then you have to buy a whole bunch because you don't know when you're ever going to see it again. So, in my opinion, which this is purely my opinion, so you can don't have to get upset with me in the comments. I do not think that this is a great place to live. There's more beautiful places in the world that are economical and are an easier way of life than it is here to remain attached to the United States for whatever benefit that is. You're always, as long as you're a citizen of the US, you're always a citizen of the US. So whatever you do in the United States every year, the IRS, you have to do that every year, no matter what, no matter where you live. That's going to happen for the rest of your life. You won't renounce your citizenship, obviously. So you're going to keep that citizenship. You're going to be doing that anyway. You might as well live someplace that's nicer and a lot less expensive to live. And you can even split your year up so you're not tax bound to any country and be able to travel and see the world and do things that you'd never be able to do if you were still attached to a home in the US or an expensive home. So when we are comparing here in the US Virgin Islands to Italy, there is absolutely no comparison. And we're actually counting the days, crossing them off on the calendar until we get to go back. Um, where we are and pretty much everywhere in Italy, the quality of life and the quality of everything is so much better and doesn't cost anywhere near what it costs to be here or in the mainland United States. Um, it depends on where you are, though. Obviously, if you go to an expensive city like Milan or Rome or Naples, you want to live in Positano, someplace, like that, that's touristy and a little more expensive. Yes, your costs are going to be a lot higher. They're going to be like you would be living in a city in the US. But if you are living in a remote town or a not common area like where we are in Salento, um, it's still populated because there's people, you're still around people, but it's not crowded. So, and the costs are a lot less: rent, food, everything, travel. It's not expensive to travel there. So comparing it to here, being on an island, you're extremely isolated. And the ability to travel it's not as easy because you have to either find a boat or a plane that flies to where you want to go from here, or you have to connect. And to me, it's just a little bit, it's beautiful here. The beaches are beautiful, but this isn't really the life for us. So we're gonna make our make our way across the pond and go back to Italy soon. So when we first left the United States in 2021, we saw costs beginning to go up because of COVID, right? Everyone was affected by that, and the availability of everything went down, costs went up, and the stores said, "Hey, everybody, we can still get things very easily now, but everyone's already paying double what they were paying before COVID for this. We're just going to keep charging you double." And they're going to incrementally increase those prices, until, you know, forever, right? So you're going to end up paying a higher cost for all of these goods and services and everything forever. And it's going to keep going up. So I'd rather start low. And then if something goes up a little bit, well, then I'll work that into my budget and then I can decide. But basic things that you need to live, especially in Florida, where we were from, house insurance, you can't do without it. If you do and there's a storm, you're in big trouble. Health insurance, you can't go without it. And most of the policies now are so expensive. We left when we left and we said, we're done with this. Our insurance, we figured it out. We were going to have to self insure for 15 more years. So without adding an increase in premium, which as you get older, yes, it increases, without having that premium increase, our cost for just our health insurance alone for 15 years was going to be projected at least $275,000. That was just for my health care, our health care, just for the two of us. So I said, hello, I would rather hire a private jet and fly back and forth to Europe, which you could afford, instead of paying $275,000 on health insurance. Or you could buy a home. You can pay for a place to live with all of that money. It was $18,000 a year without going to the doctor. If we went to the doctor and we needed to use our copay, then that cost would have gone up $3,000 more a year. So obviously you get older, things happen, and you need to go to the doctor. That was just the beginning cost, was 275,000. No, thank you. I can think of a million other things that I'd rather spend $275,000 on than give it to an insurance company. And they're getting this from everybody every day, every month, every year. It's insanity. But as long as that culture continues and people are okay with paying it, they're going to keep charging it, and those premiums are going to go up. The more sickly people get, the more diseases people get from the food, inactivity, just stress, quality of life. All of these things have a huge impact on the way that you live and the quality of your life. So we know firsthand that getting out, right, giving up and saying, throwing the towel, say, okay, I give up. You can have it. We're going to go. Yes, in the beginning, it was a struggle a little bit because you're in a strange place and you don't know. But the more people you get to know, the more friends you'll make. You might meet some people that speak English if you don't speak Italian, or if you're going somewhere else, that language, right? Spanish, anywhere else that you might want to spend some time and retire. Um, People are very nice mostly everywhere. And in the beginning, it might be a little bit of a struggle. Use your Google. We got through it. You can get through it. It's not really that difficult. What you have to go through is nothing compared to what you're going through now. Thinking about if you're going to be able to stay in your house, your home that you built in the US, and afford to keep paying the insurance, the bills, and then the things that you need. Forget about going on vacation. These are just day-to-day things that most people that are retiring or are newly retired are saying, I can't afford to do any of these things that I thought I was going to be able to do in retirement, that I was planning on. I was planning on traveling, but I have to pay house insurance. I was planning on going, over to Europe and traveling around, but I have to pay my health insurance. Or I wanted to retire early, but I'll never be able to retire early. I'm going to have to keep working just to pay for these things that I need to keep my house. And nobody should really have to live like that. You should be able to have a choice. Years ago, people could retire at a younger age, get their benefits from their job, take the money that they saved, keep their house, and then travel. But these things aren't able to be done today. And the reality is that you may have to set up a residence somewhere else, or even share a residence with a family member if you know that you're not going to be there that often, or you're going to be traveling. Share a residence with a family member. Tell them, you say, I'll help you out with this and that or whatever to keep your residence in the US, but then go and live in other places. It would definitely be much more economical for you to do that. And we knew that it was a tough decision, but in the end, it ended. Now that we looking back and coming back here, even for this short while, we know that it's much better to live in there, in Italy, in Europe, in these other countries where they do value their citizens. Things are a lot less expensive. Businesses don't gouge, and you don't need all of these unnecessary insurances. The healthcare, if you did decide to stay in Italy, I know somebody had a question about this, so I hope you made it all the way to the end of the video. I'm answering your question. You only have to be a resident with your visa or your citizenship, if you've gotten citizenship, congratulations, that you only need to be in that town for 45 days registered to be able to become a resident of that town. And then after that, you can go over to the ASL and purchase your health insurance. So the costs have gone up for the health insurance, but nothing compared to what it would cost to be buying a policy in the US, obviously. And in one of the other videos, I also mentioned that there are travel policies, that some of them you can travel 365 days and renew them every year if you're traveling, and add the US if you decide to go back there for a trip. So you don't have to carry a policy in the United States if you're not going to be there. You can just add it to your travel policy when you decide you're going to go on your trip, even if you're going to stay for a few months. So do your own math and see what your plan is, because your plan might not compare to my plan. We did stuff when we were younger. If you're a little bit older and you have grandchildren, you have family, you have other things you need to tend to, how long do you think that you can get out and then be able to travel a little bit and then return to the US to go tend to those other things that you need to? So make your plan and realize you're not stuck and you don't have to stay anywhere that you don't want to. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that some of this information helps you. Maybe it inspires you a little bit to take that trip or start making that plan for your future, because you only get once around and you got to make it a good one. So thanks again. I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Ciao.